Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chats with Children. Today, I'm delighted to be joined again by Philip Leslie, who is the acting head of production at Apiject. And you may remember that a few weeks ago, I sat down with Philip and talked about blow-fill seal manufacturing and pre-fill syringes. Today, we're looking to continue that discussion and look more depth about blow-fill seal and discuss how to progress your products into blow-fill seals, or BFS, as we'll say for the rest of the meeting. So, Philip, how are you first of all? It's lovely to see you.
Very good. Yes, very good. It's good to be back. Thank you for inviting me back, Rizwan.
Well, it's lovely to see you again. And actually, I don't know if we could do a little quiz. People can guess what your background is. That is a city you're actually calling from, although it's not. Well, it might be sunny where you are, depending on the time difference, because it's a cloudy morning here in Surrey. So, what time is it where you are today?
It's 6 p.m. in the evening here, so the sun has set on this skyscrapers. Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, we won't tell anybody you're in Australia, but we can ask people to guess which city
Yes.
you're calling in from if they can recognise that skyline. So,
Okay.
uh, I know we did this last time, but for those people who didn't see the video last time, would you mind giving viewers a very quick overview of Apiject and yourself?
Okay. So I'm Philip Leslie. I'm work for Apiject. I've worked in the blow-fill seal pharmaceutical industry for well over 30 years, and previously I worked with GlaxoSmithKline here in Melbourne, and at the site which specialised in blow-fill seal, we had 11 machines doing different products, and we were one of the first sites to introduce vaccines into blow-fill seal. So, and the interest of work that we did on emerging markets and lower cost, it was really interesting to join Apiject because I think their mission of being a company that provides very valuable products to emerging markets and things is something that I am very close to.
Brilliant. And again, I know we touched on this last time, but again, for those people who missed the interview last time, just to clarify, what is blow-fill seal?
Okay, so blow-fill seal is a integrated process where you form a parison, a tube of low density polyethylene or other polymer, and then it is formed by some molds, which is the mold, and then filled with syringe needles, which fill your liquid or product into it, and then there's a sealing process. So the forming, filling, and sealing occur in very fast sequence and are not and are part of one process. So this
Okay.
gives you a great way of getting a sterile product.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's talk a bit more about that then. So what sort of products are suitable for BFS?
So a wide range of products are suitable for blow-fill seals. So mainly liquids, suspensions, emulsions, even creams. We've done some work on creams as well. So things that I just looked in my first aid kit, and you can get these little bottles of sterile saline solution that you use for irrigation or wound that have sterile liquid in. You can have inhalation products that you use for in nebulizers. You can use injectable products that are fit into a syringe or with a device. Yes, anything that really requires a sterile liquid product. Intravenous drips or other things that are done in high volume in other parts of the world as well.
Right. Okay. So what are the advantages of putting your products into BFS?
So the main advantage is around being this sterile assurance that you'll get by
Right.
using blow-fill seal. The FDA call it advanced aseptic processing, and it really is something that really gives you a very high quality assurance that you're going to maintain sterility of your product in the container, because it forms and fills and seals it so quickly and doesn't allow the egress of any other components or things into it. So the other key thing about it is that it generally goes towards unit dose. Unit dose. So you rather than having multiple bottles, you will want to use something that has a single item that you can do that. So the benefit of that is, of course, if you're using a unit dose, then you're not opening a bottle and letting particles or microbes into that bottle, which will contaminate it, because the remainder of your product is still sterile and closed. So the unit dose part of it, and the other part that comes with that is giving the dose. If your product, you want to be specific about what the dose would be when you give it. You know, when you have an analgesic and it says take a teaspoon, well, how big's your teaspoon? You know, whereas if you fill this precisely with 2.5 ml or 1 ml or whatever you want to do, then you will give that to the patient very precisely. So that's a really big advantage. The other is the design. Because it's blow, fill, seal, you're blow molding a bottle which you can utilize to give your brand some identity in terms of the shape or the use, or gives you some sort of advantage in the way you pack it together in a box and things like that. The other advantages come from a production side. It's a very efficient process. You can produce them at high speed. 400 a minute is not a problem. And so this high efficiency, both in the filling process and also in the productivity side, give you an advantage over more different types of way. And supply chain, obviously, there's only two things you need, which is the polymer and the liquid, the product. Whereas if you've got bottles and stoppers and caps and other things, you're really adding to a lot of things that could fall over when you're trying to, efficiently and productively made your product in that. So the other things, of course, is the machines are big, but their actual footprint is quite small. So it's a lower investment in terms of putting them into a clean room, and they're environmentally friendly because you're not running so much air conditioning and people involved in doing it. And so it generally gives you a more cost-efficient process in handling your product.
Right. All right. Fantastic. So how do you know that your product is compatible with BFS?
So that's a very common question. And there are two things I suppose people are concerned about, is both the stability, and is the product going to be stable in my low density polyethylene or whatever polymer you choose. So the best way to do it is to try it. And, most blow fill seal companies or CMOs will do a small filling trial for you and seal them into the bottle. And you can put them onto stability and check the stability at 3 months or monthly or whatever frequency you feel is relevant. The other thing about it is that, often they talk about, because of the polymer, is what about extractables and leachables into the product? Are you going to contaminate my product with some sort of material from the polymer? Well, the first thing is the polymer that we use on blow fill seal is generally virgin polymer. It doesn't have plasticizers and other additives, so it's very pure. And if you're choosing a polymer, then you know the fingerprint, of the product, and you can go looking for those other slight products that could come out of the polymer. Generally, if your solution is water soluble, it's very rare that anything will come out. But of course, if you've got polymers, a surfactant or something, you could extract one of these compounds into it. So there are companies that look at that and are able to help you identify if you do have any leachables or extractables into your product. Of course, you can, if you're just using the product once, it's a one-off thing, then obviously your dosing of a small amount will be hardly negligible. But if you're using a respiratory product more frequently, every day, for example, then there's a potential that you need to make sure that the levels are much lower, and there are recognized industry standards to look at those sorts of things.
No, well, thank you for answering. I was actually just thinking, because we did have a conversation after our interview last week talking about extractables and leachables, and I was just thinking about asking you that very question when you brought it up. You preempted me, so thanks for that, Philip. So you talked about that. So what about, though, handling sensitive products?
Yes, of course. Everybody's interested in things like vaccines nowadays, and that means that are they temperature sensitive to the process? Well, certainly you're dealing with a hot polymer and you're filling into that, and you need to make sure you keep your product cool. And there's been an awful lot of work being done by various companies that deal in blow fill seal to try and maintain the temperature impact of your product. First of all, you can, obviously start off with it cold, So when you fill, and it might go up 15 or 20 degrees, if you're down at 2 or 3, then you're going to go up to 25 or something like that, which generally is less than blood temperature. So it shouldn't impact the product in a big way. And the process time is very small. We're talking a few seconds before the products come out of the machine, and therefore you can start cooling it down and lower the impact of the time side of the temperature impact. Other things that people worry about is their product might be light sensitive. Well, generally, you can flow wrap them into little pouches, just like a muesli bar. And these obviously are airtight, so you can actually put some nitrogen inside and keep your product in an environment of nitrogen, because in case you've got an oxygen sensitive product or something, and you worry about them degrading with oxygen. So this is another way of giving your product a great protection in that. So yes, and of course, being unit dose and only opening your own one, you can often don't need a preservative in your formulation, which is just an added cost and another thing that you need to worry about in your formulation side. So it does handle sensitive products very well.
Right. So, and what about the regulators? How well is BFS accepted by the regulators?
Well, it's been around now for over 50 years, and there's thousands and thousands of machines being used all over the world, and especially in the highly regulated markets like the US, Australia, UK, Europe. There's many machines being used, and they are well understood and recognized by the regulators, especially, as I said, with the advanced aseptic processing and the containment of the filling process within the parasol, which is obviously filtered air, and the chance of getting foreign bodies and things in there is very, very low, and you can operate them in a very different type of environment to what you would typically do with, say, a glass filling line. So they're generally well accepted, and not a problem.
Fantastic. Well, Philip, now that's all we've got time for. But I just want to say thank you very much for expanding even further on BFS and what you can do in terms of manufacturing, because it is a really interesting topic. Where can people get more information if they'd like to find out more about blow-fill seal and also about Apiject?
Well, the Apiject website is really the place to go. There's a whole range of articles been written by experts on blow-fill seal and at the application of the Apiject device, and more information about the product and how to contact us if you're interested in filling your product or doing some trials in blow-fill seal. We'd love to hear from you.
Brilliant. Well, Philip, as always, thank you for taking time to talk to me. It's always wonderful to talk to someone who knows so much about their particular topic. So thank you for sharing it. I'll ask people to put down below the comments what city you're in, although you did mention it earlier in the video. So this is actually a test of people listening to what you were saying. But all I can say is thank you once again for taking the time out to talk to me. It's been really interesting to talk to you. Viewers, I hope you found that useful. If you'd like to know more about blow-fill seal, then check out the Apiject website. The link will be above the video. You can also check out Philip's previous interview with me, which was a bit of an introduction about blow-fill seal. Which with the link for that will be above the video as well. And also you can see the other interview I did with Beth Totten, who's the commercial officer for chief commercial officer for Apiject as well, because that will be there as well. So there's some nice videos there, interviews, as well as the website to get more information about blow-fill seal. And if you've got any questions for Philip, then feel free to leave them below the video, because I'm sure he'll be happy to answer any questions you've got about blow-fill seal as well. So Philip, once again, thank you very much for your time. It's lovely to see you. I hope the sun continues to shine where you are, and hopefully we can catch up soon and talk a bit more about blow-fill seal. So look after yourselves. Lovely to see you again. And viewers, I hope you found that interesting and useful. As I said, check out the links above the video to get more information and see the previous interviews as well. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.